Besant said President Donald Trump was making phone calls to world leaders with specific requests to cease trading with the Iranian regime. Besant said the US was launching an economic onslaught against Iran's financial connections around the globe in order to sever every economic pipeline used by Iran until Tehran stands alone. Treasury announced Monday it is sanctioning nearly 60 corporations, individuals and vessels in multiple jurisdictions that it says enable the Iranian regime's recklessness. That list includes multiple Chinese nationals. China has said it is illegal for its citizens to comply with unilateral US sanctions. Besant said the US was engaging in quiet diplomacy with Iranian trade partners to warn them of the consequences for continuing to trade with Tehran. Any entity that facilitates money laundering on behalf of Iran will be removed from the US dollar system, he said. No one is above the reach of US sanctions, Besant said, adding there was now a cure period for nations to end the targeted relations with Iran. Yet Besant did not lay out any immediate concrete actions against other countries. Markets showed little reaction to Besant's remarks. Iranian officials downplayed the economic threat. You will fail this time too, Iranian Economy Minister Ali Madanizadeh said in response to Besant's comments, according to the semi-official Fars news agency, and added, the government is fully prepared for this economic war. Madanizadeh said that it would not be easy to cut the country off from global economic channels, and that Iran would retaliate, according to the semi-official ISNA news agency. If they take any action, they should expect an attack from us, he said, according to ISNA. Separately, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said that the US must stop trying to bully Iran. America must correct its tone and approach in dealing with Iran, because relying on force and bullying will only complicate the process, he said. According to the semi-official Tasnim news agency, our nation, relying on its solidarity, will overcome any pressure and threats. Pezeshkian made the comments during a meeting on Monday with Field Marshal Asim Munir, the Army Chief of Pakistan, a key mediator between the US and Iran, according to Tasnim. After 6 months of kinetic combat and a US naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, the Trump administration has few remaining levers it can use to convince Iran's major trading partners to materially reduce their economic ties, said Alan Ayer, a distinguished diplomatic fellow at the Middle East Institute. The White House seems to think that this announcement in and of itself will cause countries to sever relations with Iran absent any follow-up, which I think is highly unlikely. Ayer told NBC News. The US has for decades imposed direct sanctions on Iran and businesses involved in prohibited activities like weapons procurement. But Iran has, in many cases, successfully evaded the sanctions by setting up new front companies. Besant promised Sunday to launch the single greatest financial offensive ever in an op-ed in the Financial Times. The world should understand that our objective is to sever every economic lifeline that sustains the tyrannical regime until Tehran stands alone, he wrote, adding that any country partnering with Iran would also be financially isolated. Monday's actions are designed to target secondary countries whose trade and business relations still benefit Iran. Ahead of the announcement, the United Arab Emirates, a close US ally, whose leadership has forged close ties with the Trump administration, announced it was was ending all trade relations with Iran. Experts say the success of Besant's announcement will hinge on whether Iran's most powerful trading partners, China, India, and Russia, decide the US threats are credible. If you're a country like Russia or China, you see Iran as ally, and you're not just going to suddenly stop trading with them. That damages Moscow's credibility in eyes of their friends around the world, said Andrew Garthrop, a university lecturer at the University of Leiden specializing in US foreign policy. There's just not much the US can do to these countries to make them go along with this, he said. It's been nearly 6 months since the US and Israel attacked Iran on the premise of preventing it from obtaining a nuclear weapon. The US has racked up its own costs. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said last month that the war has cost the US $37.5 billion, though estimates put the all-in economic impact at as much as $150